with Trump reaching pretty close to his second term, I guess, high on disapproval ratings. He's only 0.2% away from tying the last time he's had this high of a disapproval rating. And honestly, I would not be surprised if over the coming weeks, Trump's disapproval rating reaches over negative 8%. As we've seen with the Jeffrey Epstein files, the tariffs, no trade deals getting done, his disapproval rating keeps going down. And the Republican Party disapproval rating is at negative 10.9%. Now, I do want to point out that yes, because Trump's disapproval rating is bad, it's nowhere near as bad as the Democratic Party disapproval rating at negative 21.6%. But even though the Democratic disapproval rating is huge, negative 20%, the generic congressional polls for the Democrat, so how the average person plans to vote in the 2026 midterms is in favors of the Democrat. They're polling 2.5% better than the Republicans. So I want to give a updated 2028 election map now with, Trump's one of his highest disapproval rating periods in his presidency, and how I think if his disapproval rating stays on the same track, how I think this will affect the 2028 election. Now, I also have the Democrats having a very competent ticket. Now, if this ticket was like Gavin Newsom, this outcome would not happen. Gavin Newsom, who's a weaker candidate. I do think Pete Buttigieg is a weaker candidate than a lot of people think. And who's also another weaker candidate that's getting some traction, especially Kamala Harris. Definitely Kamala Harris should not run. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Now, we have to remember, Trump does not win the 2024 election, or he doesn't win as that large of a margin if he's not Trump, okay? If it was J.D. Vance in that 2024 election, it would be horrific. I mean, J.D. Vance could probably still win, but with those policies, I believe that's something only Donald Trump can do. Only Trump can win on the policies he platforms on. Do have Florida and Ohio still being safe, yes, because of J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. Now we get to the safe states of Josh Shapiro and Gretchen Whitmer, which of course Washington, Oregon, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Illinois, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Delaware, Maryland, D.C., Maine as a whole in that district of Maine, Vermont, and okay, so after we do the safe states, it's 179 to 178. Josh Shapiro and Gretchen Whitmer. We'll now move on to the likelies, which this district of Nebraska, Minnesota, New Jersey, Virginia, and New Mexico, I do believe will all be likelies. And to be likely for me, you have to be in between 4, or around 4 to 7%, or around 5 to 7%, which I believe all these states will go to Josh Shapiro and Gretchen Whitmer by 5% or more. Now for Marco Rubio, J. Vance, I believe the only state that this will happen is in Texas, probably going to them by around 8%, 9%, somewhere around there. And then you could make an argument that Arizona continues to shift to the right, but I do believe Arizona will shift back to the left, still go Republicans, but only by around maybe 3%. Maybe the same margin Trump won it in 2016. Around that margin. Now, let's say someone like Roy Cooper's on the ticket with Josh Shapiro, I could see the Democrats taking North Carolina. I do believe overall North Carolina is moving to the left. This district of Maine. I do believe North Carolina overall is moving to the left as they elected a Democratic governor this past election, even in a Trump year. But we can talk about North Carolina later. We'll go ahead and get Pennsylvania out the way. And Michigan, I do believe they're both going Josh Shapiro and Gretchen Whitmer by around 2%, of course, as they're both those states' respective governors. And if those states are going blue, we look at the 2024 election. Wisconsin was the closest swing state to shifting to the Democrats, to going to Kamala Harris, which honestly was a big shot. I think a lot of people actually thought Michigan would actually go to Kamala. And if these two states are shifting that much to the left, of course, because they have governors, I do think that Josh Shapiro and Gretchen Whitmer will be able to win Wisconsin, especially even if Wisconsin seemed not too keen on the idea of voting for Trump anyway. And we look at Milwaukee County, I would not be surprised if the Democrats do like 5 points better here. If we look at the 2020 election, Democrats won it by basically 40%. We go to the 2024 election, they won it by probably around a 1% difference. I do think Democrats will win Milwaukee, the city, by around 40%. And if these two states are shifting that much to the left, I do expect Wisconsin to also go Democratic, but probably not by a large margin. Maybe by around like 0.5%, somewhere around there. Now, I do not think Josh Shapiro and Gretchen Whitmer have the right appeal for a place like Georgia. I don't think. I mean, they could possibly win Georgia, but Trump did win it by over 2%. And I also, with Marco Rubio being a senator from Florida, maybe that helps him with Georgia. I do think Georgia's probably a pretty good state for the Republicans to be able to have a strategy and a campaign in. It will be tough to say. One thing I do want to say about North Carolina is that North Carolina was the only swing state to vote for Trump, even with Democratic governors. And I believe, even with a Democratic governor, still voted for Trump in 2020 and 2016. So I do believe North Carolina is one of those swing states that Republicans really won't lose too badly ever, but I do believe their margin will go down to like a 1%. I also do believe Republicans are gaining in North Carolina, as Trump won it by 3%, more than he won Georgia by. So I do expect Nevada to probably still go J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, maybe by not as large as a margin as Trump won it. Now, I definitely do think Gretchen Whitmer and Josh Shapiro could win Georgia, but I do believe someone like Wes Moore, like if, let's say, instead of Gretchen Whitmer, let me copy this name because I'm going to forget how to spell it. I do believe if Wes Moore's on the ticket with Josh Shapiro, which is another very strong ticket, I don't know if they win Michigan by as large of a margin, but I definitely do think they would be able to win Georgia. And even if they lose Michigan without Gretchen Whitmer on the ticket and win Georgia, they still have a pretty good path to victory by taking Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. So, especially, and I wish this would go back to 2020 so that we could look at what the. Wonder if it lets us. But I definitely do think Democrats, with the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, the tariffs, I just saw a poll recently that said only 25% of Americans believe that Donald Trump's policies are actually improving their lives. I understand that maybe they think those policies will come later, or, maybe it's a Malay situation where some Americans believe Donald Trump has to do some hard stuff like tariffs in order for a better future. Anyway, this is probably, but I do expect Josh Shapiro probably pick someone like Gretchen Whitmer, likable governor, as his running mate. Wes Moore probably won't run. He said he doesn't want to run, but Joe Biden also said that in early 2017, 2018. But with Gretchen Whitmer on the ticket, I don't know if they can win Georgia. Georgia will be very close, though. Anyway, this is my current map for the 2028 election. We'll see if Trump's disapproval rating continues as it is. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and peace out.